Enjoyed immensely the changes we've been able to make in the last 8 years in this city, but perhaps none quite as moving as that first partnership ceremony that we had at City Hall, which by doing it, and the whole world didn't come to an end, gave the government the courage to move forward and introduce that in a legal form that was absolutely crucial in beginning to change the legal rights of lesbians and gay men in this city and in this country. I decided at the time to ignore the advice of Boris Johnson when he wrote, if gay marriage was okay and I was uncertain on the issue, then I saw no reason in principle why a union should not be concentrated between 3 men as well as 2 men, or indeed 3 men and a dog. I'm interested that Boris didn't seem to touch on any of his writings about the issues that have affected lesbians and gay men over the last few years. I actually, when I voted against the introduction of Section 28 as a Member of Parliament and campaigned against it, and I was over the moon when a Labour government finally repealed that. But of course, at the time, what Boris wrote in the Daily Telegraph, not 20 years ago, but on the 3rd of August 2000, was this: the essence of that Tory case is unchanged. It is more sensitive to spare parents' anxieties than to allow left-wing local authorities to waste taxpayers' money on idiotic and irrelevant homosexual instruction. I must have missed that class when I was at school. I'm also delighted that we know how to work with Stonewall on what I suspect is the single most important and divisive issue for the lesbian and gay community in this city, which is the homophobic bullying in schools. It's about the only form of bullying which is ignored or even tolerated in schools, and we helped to fund Stonewall's, I think, really great DVD and fact pack that we sent round. And I think when we come to look at the problems of the culture of violence amongst teenagers, we need to really bore down, if I get a third term, on what's happening in our schools, because it isn't just homophobic bullying, but bullying right the way across schools, which sets a culture of violence that then spills over into horrific violence on our streets. We've had very good working with Ben and his team over a whole range of issues, and I'm delighted that that work will carry on if I get a third term. I am to say as well that there are vast issues that face all of us, irrespective of our orientation or our race. And key to that is what we do to tackle climate change. I think this is the biggest single threat we face. The rate of change is accelerating. We see it in the violence of the weather that assails us now. In 30 years' time in this city, we face the problems of literally thousands of people dying in summer from heat. And what we've got to do is everything we can to reduce carbon emissions dramatically. And this is the work which I think is going to be so important for this third term. We've produced the Climate Change Action Plan that can reduce carbon emissions in this city by 60% within 20 years and 80% by 2050. If we can get that word out, and we're now working with 39 other large cities, we've just launched a programme to retrofit every public building in this city to reduce their carbon emissions by 25%, saving a vast amount of money in energy bills at the same time. We're about to introduce a new form of lighting, the next generation of energy efficient bulbs, which would, at the moment, 18% of the energy generated in this country is used on lighting. With these bulbs, it will be 2%. Right the way across this whole field, we've got to work incredibly hard. Doesn't have to reduce our quality of life. We have to change the way we live, or the world we'll be living in by the time we get to the middle of this century will be catastrophic. And that, I think, has to be the single biggest issue facing whoever is elected mayor. We can have a city, and I'm really proud of it. This is one of those little gems scattered around the world, like San Francisco and Copenhagen and others, where lesbians and gays and transsexual, transgender people have come because they feel safer. There's still work to do. We still have horrific instances of violence against lesbian and gay people. But we are a beacon of what the world can be in terms of its tolerance. And we saw that most decisively on the day of the bombings in this city in 2005, when not a single Londoner turned on another and attacked another. We stood together, and it's been decades of work by politicians committed to tolerance, faith leaders and leaders of voluntary organisations who've made the case for that. People talk about a clash of civilisations. Here we demonstrate the world can live together in harmony in this city, and I'm really proud to be its mayor.